Josh is a special student. He's been going to this school since he's 7 and he's now currently in year 9. This year I'm his mathematics teacher. To be quite honest with you, it hasn't been the easiest. Josh!
Sorry, I'm just doing my maths homework.
I've been talking with the other teachers. We've noticed the same issues. He's been underperforming in subjects such as history and English. And you tell him to do something and he just doesn't do it. He gets up, he walks out, he's bored. Thomas rocks, doesn't do a thing you say.
Nothing. You can tell him to not jump off a bridge and still do it out of spite.
Last week we had an exam for the algebra unit we're completing and he just sat there the whole time and drew a picture of the principal. It's very inappropriate.
Yeah, that went around the faculty and we all saw it.
It was very funny, but also very concerning. So basically, we've identified some key issues that seem to intermingle when it comes to Josh's problems at school. Other than performing really poorly in some of his classes because he just doesn't want to try it, we've also noticed the fact that he comes from a socio-economic background. That's an issue. We've especially noticed that it's impacting his ability to feel included in school. He can't afford to bring his own device, so he often has to share with students that he just doesn't get along with. Unfortunately, Josh doesn't have many friends, and sometimes the other kids tease him. This often riles him up in class. His uniform is also incorrect, and sometimes just not worn at all. And most of the time, anything that requires a fee, like an excursion, he never attends, because he just can't afford it. We let him slide on mufti days, but in other instances, it's just not possible. The office ladies just don't like him.
So I never get to go any fun or whatever because we can't afford it. My dad, he works at night and he sleeps during the day, and if I wake him up, he's gonna get really pissed. And my mum, she doesn't have a job. She watches our little sister Karen, who's 3, and she's really annoying. My brother Dylan, he says it's all shit anyway. Why would I want to go see a play? But I don't know. It could be fun if I could go. And with the uniform, I use his old one, but there's a hole near my ding-a-ling and I'm scared that it could just pop out and then the girls will scream about it and call me gross and stuff. So I just wear whatever and everyone gets so mad about it, but I'm why are you so mad for? I still came to school. I don't know why the other kids get so bothered too, I just try to make it more exciting.
Go eat your butter sandwich somewhere else, Pavo.
It was peanut butter, but whatever, I guess she's mad that I almost set her hair on fire with a Bunsen burner one time.
In order to more deeply understand where Josh's misbehaviour stems from, the first strategy we will be utilising is to interview his family to get a greater understanding of their attitudes and what his home life is like. This can be done by scheduling a parent-teacher interview and asking questions about Josh's behaviour at home. By using an empathetic approach rather than a hypercritical one, the teacher is more likely to ensure the parents are at ease and will feel supported by the school. This will allow Josh's parents to open up and provide more insight that can be utilised to clearly understand and assist Josh.
So we got called in here for a meeting about Josh. Apparently we don't pay him enough attention. I don't know. My wife's at home all day.
Got a little one to watch, another on the way.
I'm at work. I can't be there all the time. I have a job, doesn't make a lot of money, but we get by. The kid comes to school. I don't see what the big deal is.
While interviewing Josh's family, the teacher could identify things such as their personal views on education, which could possibly be negative, or we could identify that his family has no time to help him with his homework, which is something that he significantly requires. Albert Bandura's social cognitive theory can be applied in this situation to understand how Josh's values and views towards education may be heavily influenced by his parents. During the interview, the teacher could address Josh's underperformance in important subjects and failure to bring pens and books to class. Through conversing with the parents, the teacher might gather insight into the reasons behind the problems that Josh is facing. This can help the teacher to come up with interventions for Josh and possibly refer him to support systems. Josh's failure to bring important resources such as books and pens may be an indication of little care, but it may become illuminated through a discussion with his parents that it's actually due to the fact that they cannot afford the necessary resources. In coming to understand these things about Josh, we can more easily see what the real problems are and begin to work towards finding solutions. Similarly, the theory can help us to recognize Josh's failure to bring important resources as he is influenced by his environment and low socioeconomic status background. His low socioeconomic background is a significant factor for his underperformance and low motivation. We can take Albert Bandura's theory into consideration when trying to understand Josh's sudden out-of-character behavior. A research article by Bandura states that social cognitive theory identifies that economic conditions, socioeconomic status, and educational and family structures affect behavior largely through their impact on people's aspirations, sense of efficacy, personal standards, affective states, and other self-regulatory influences, rather than directly. Although this understanding can help us to consider Josh's misbehavior as a result of socioeconomic status, there are limitations to this, as Josh's misbehavior may be influenced by more than his socioeconomic status and parents' views on education. It is important to reflect upon Josh's change of behavior according to different subjects, such as science, and consider low motivation towards subjects such as English and maths as another factor for his misbehavior and refusal to bring resources to class. Despite the parent-teacher interview, it is not enough on its own to understand the complete reason for Josh's misbehavior.
As Josh's teacher, I have observed Josh to be a socially isolated student. I found he was having trouble forming friendships either in class or during recess or lunch. He always preferred to work alone or in solidarity during group work. I have never witnessed Josh attempting to make connections with fellow classmates. He's getting rejected by his classmates due to his erratic and unpredicting behavior. Lastly, I have noticed Josh is often picked last for group projects. I assume students feel he will be a huge distraction to his fellow group members. To tackle Josh's issue of social isolation, I, as his teacher, with the help from the science faculty and fellow teachers of Josh, came up with a possible approach to maximize Josh's feeling of inclusion, which could ultimately minimize misbehavior. Since Josh is performing well in science, the science faculty and I have organized a science club to be run during lunch times. The science club provides students with shared interest of science to work on experiments or projects that interest them. Students will be given the opportunity to work in pairs to create a science project that will be showcased in the school's annual science fair. Community scientists will also make frequent visits to provide students with real-life experiences and advice on various subjects such as potential science careers or helpful feedback on their projects. The goal-centered theory centralizes on the idea that students misbehave to seek social recognition or achieve mistaken goals. Jacobs believes that teachers should foster mutual respect in order to increase students' intrinsic motivation so that they could behave positively. Consequently, when teachers don't address students' primary need of belonging, they turn to a series of mistaken goals. Mistaken goals are defined as students seeking attention, power, revenge, and displaying inadequacy, which results in the students misbehaving. Teachers who acquire goal-centered theory into their classroom create a positive learning environment by developing a democratic style of teaching. In the case of Josh and his science club, as his teacher, I will guide rather than direct his science projects. Furthermore, teachers should establish and foster mutual respect. I do not expect Josh to immediately comply to the rules and expectations of the class, but over time I will hope to expect Josh to follow class rules and to respect his fellow classmates. The goal-centered theory addresses the student's strengths and abilities. We saw that Josh was performing well in science, and for that reason we created a science club. Also, providing Josh with encouragement has the potential to increase his autonomy, as well as make him feel valued and belong in the classroom. The limitations of goal-centered theory and our approach to Josh's social isolation is that it may require some time for Josh to open up and become comfortable in his science club. We don't expect Josh to make friends on the first day of the science club, but with time he may become comfortable with the environment that he's in, making him open to form new friendships or make connections with fellow students. Furthermore, goal-centered theory helps to understand student misbehavior, but does not reveal students' real motive for misbehavior. Lyons, Ford, and Slee substantiates this by stating extremely challenging behavior, withdrawn or hidden emotions can make it difficult to understand students' cause of misbehavior, particularly for teachers who lack any experience when dealing with challenging behaviors.
Our last strategy to address Josh's issues at school aims to tackle his behavior within a classroom, specifically his underperformance in certain classes and his inability to follow simple instructions. These feed into one another, making other issues worse.
To do this, we've decided to sit down with Josh one-on-one and create a plan to identify what he thinks he needs to do and what he thinks he requires to do better and feel better at school. We want to aim to improve how he's doing at school, not only in the classroom, but in a way that will also impact his life in the school. We will ask questions to identify what his wants are, have him analyze his own actions to achieve that, evaluate how those actions have worked for him in the past, and then work on a plan for exactly what we will do together to achieve these goals we have set. This may include him aiming to not leave the classroom and instead asking for help.
To help Josh in the classroom, choice theory can be applied by the teacher. Choice theory was developed by William Glasser to showcase that human behaviour choices are driven from 5 needs in which they are compelled to satisfy. Survival, which are the physical needs of food and water. Love and belonging, which is connecting with other people that are important to you. Power, which is success, acknowledgement, achievement. Freedom, to have choices and control in your life. And fun, which is having laughter and doing things that are interesting. Individuals should behave in ways to meet these basic needs, but for everyone, this isn't the case. The approach of choice theory maintains that almost all behaviour is chosen and purposeful. Glasser believes that behaviour is made up of 4 components: acting, which involves talking and doing; thinking, which is self-talk and ideas; feeling, the emotions; and physiology, body talk, head aching, and swearing. Glasser believes that relationships are paramount to living a healthy life, and that all ills can be traced back to a relationship deficit or problem. Theoretically, if a person's needs are not met, then he or she will act in a way to get their needs met. For example, a student may act out in class to try and receive attention, or to feel powerful. If a teacher recognises that the student does not feel powerful in his or her life, the teacher might respond with giving the student an opportunity to gain power in a healthy way. It is important that teachers help students envision a quality existence in school and plan the choices that lead to it. This can be done by implementing choice theory within the classroom. There are 4 main questions in choice theory that can be discussed between the student and the teacher in order to assist them in identifying their behaviour and overcoming it. First, they talk about their wants. What do they want? What do they want to be like? What will that give them? Then they discuss their doing. What are they doing? What are they thinking? How are they feeling? Then they evaluate that. How is this working for them? How do they feel about this now? Then they come up with a plan. What can we come up with together for you to make things work better for you? Can you think of anything else that you could have done? Would you like some help coming up with different ways to do that? Collaboratively, teachers and students should develop this plan to help the student achieve the goals that they have set out. Creating that strong relationship between a teacher and a student is crucial for this theory to work in the classroom. According to Glasser, the better we know someone and the more we like about what we know, the harder we will work for that person. If students see that the teachers are willing to help them change their lives, they will hopefully use this opportunity. Even though there are a lot of positives about choice theory, there are also some negatives. It is a plan that will help the student develop over time, meaning that their behaviour will not change overnight. This theory gives the student the choice to become a better student and follow through with the plan, but ultimately they may not put in the effort and will get nothing out of it.
You know, like, Mrs. she really seems to like care or whatever, so I guess if she's trying, then like I could try. So like maybe I don't like walk out of class anymore, try a bit harder. You know, maybe like school's not that bad.